Hi and welcome to class. This is a tutorial that my daughter Becky and I are going to do in order to introduce you to the features of View.com, that's VYEW.com, that we use as a chat and online conferencing feature for our class. What I'd like you to draw your attention to are some of the features of this. One of the features, and you can see it right here, is our chat box. And in the chat box, now Becky was able to put in arrows. Becky, where'd you find arrows? Our chat box is right, I'll let you draw again, Becky. So I go to the pencil. If you can see the chat box, I go to the pencil and the rightmost tool. It doesn't draw an arrow. We'll erase that. I gave you back your drawing privileges, Becky, so can you draw an arrow for me to the chat box? We're getting closer. Okay. Now, do you have the ability as a student, and I've given her collaborator privileges, do you have the ability to move the arrow to just opposite the chat box? View.com is a free online conferencing service or application that students and instructors can access. It does have a chat feature, which is in the lower right, and it also has a whiteboard feature, which is where Becky and I are attempting to draw different things. Oftentimes I use this as a way to tutor students in their homework. And what I've done right here is I've pulled up an assignment that I gave students, which I can just bring online. We're going to move to the next page because it looks like someone has scribbled on that page. And demonstrate the process that I use when we are using this as a tutoring session. I can pull up the actual worksheet that the students have and kind of go through how we would solve a problem while students watch. They have the ability to ask questions, and they can do that in one of two ways. Becky, you already have done it. When we look at the users online, over to the right, and Becky is playing, I guess only one person can draw at a time, you can see that Tabitha has put a symbol next to her name. This conferencing software uses symbols to tell the moderator, convey to the moderator some information, and this one means to slow down. Becky, can you show the symbol for raising your hand? That is a symbol that she uses to raise her hand, which means she has a question. We had some difficulty in enabling her video, not her video, but her audio. Obviously, we can see her video. Smile, Becky. And this highlights some of the difficulties that people have with online chat applications. Everyone has different computers. If you're working in a school system, you won't have as many difficulties. When you're working in a homeschool setting, everyone has different computers and is working on different platforms, and we spent about 15 minutes trying to figure out how to enable Becky's audio, and we were unable to do so. Fortunately, we do have the symbols next to the usernames that can indicate to an instructor various things that the student wants to communicate without interrupting the flow of the online session, and students can also use the chat box in order to communicate. Becky, can you just show us how you continually use the chat box, but can you show us how that works? like typing something in the chat box. Becky, you've taken a number of courses, or at least a very long and intense 2-year course using online conferencing. Is it always a bit challenging to integrate the video, the audio, the chat with what's going on the screen? She typed a Y. When she took courses, the Y indicated yes. So she did use some abbreviations. Were you allowed to use any emoticons? Were they even available when you were taking your courses, Becky? Okay, so sometimes teachers forget to scroll down. Sometimes the technology messes up. And you did use emoticons. Did different instructors have different rules about using emoticons or abbreviations? Not really. And were there abbreviations that you used more frequently than others? Yeah. And no. How about things like LOL and BRB? Okay, thank you. That's a nice polite one. I like that one. Ha 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 ha. I think I would ban that one. I can give Becky different privileges, or as moderator, any of the attendees, I can give different privileges, and I can show you by clicking on her name. I can change the user type to either viewer, reviewer, collaborator, or moderator, and I can allow the user to draw, use the camera, use the microphone, and I can also choose to private chat with her if, in fact, I want to comment about what was going on in the chat box, because sometimes that gets very far afield from what's going on in the main screen. Here in the main screen, this area, I can show videos, I can pull up worksheets, I can show my desktop in order to provide all the students who are attending an opportunity to work with the same material. Oh, okay, I'm looking at what she's chatting now. Sometimes teachers had to ask us to stop using exciting emoticons. Did they only want boring emoticons? And there appears to be a time lag that we have to do. Things like cats and stuff. I don't even know if View.com allows access to those kinds of emoticons. Do you know ways to type emoticon codes? Not anymore. But you did? Is that how you typed them before? Yes. Well, excellent. So obviously it's useful as collaborators to be able to see each other. It'd be great to listen to each other as well. Oftentimes we just use either Skype or Google Plus, and Google Plus allows more than one person to be online at the same time and see and hear each other. You can't always as readily share what's on your screen or pull up the worksheets, which is why I choose View more frequently for online tutorials. No, we don't use GP4, Becky. I like the free stuff. I do like the free stuff, and mostly because my students can't be asked to install all kinds of different things in all their computers. So I usually try to use the free applications, and View.com is one of them. I used DimDim for a couple of years until it became not free anymore. The technology is the greatest challenge, and learning the tools or the aspects of each of the pieces of software or application that you're using is also a challenge. I think the biggest challenge in conducting online chats and conferences. What do you think is the most challenging thing, Becky? Staying awake while the teacher talks? Did you use video as much when you took your online courses? Staying focused, I was going to say. Which would have been a more polite way of doing it. You viewed the teacher's desktop. Do you think it would be useful to be able to, I just moved everything around. I didn't mean to do that. Do you think it would be useful to be able to see other students as well, or do you think the technology would be too complex? Too distracting. That's an interesting comment. And we already have bugs. You mean in this particular session we already have bugs? No, in all of them. I think that is one of the drawbacks. Okay, well, Becky, thank you for your help. I'm going to turn this into a reflection that I will post and be upstairs in a little while. Bye.